We don't like to believe that truly evil people exist. We tell ourselves that everyone has a reason for their actions, that deep down they can be understood or even changed. But the truth is, some people are not just troubled or misguided, they are dangerous. And the sooner we recognize the signs, the better we can protect ourselves. Evil rarely announces itself with a grand entrance. It doesn't walk into a room with a flashing sign saying, "I am here to deceive, manipulate, and destroy." Instead, it operates in the shadows, weaving lies, distorting reality, and covering its tracks. Secrecy is its greatest weapon, and confusion is its favorite tool. People with truly malicious intentions don't want to be seen for who they are. They create illusions, wearing masks of kindness, charm, or even victimhood to avoid detection. They tell half-truths, twist facts, and in some cases outright lie to maintain control over others. If you've ever dealt with a person like this, you know how unsettling it can be. They rewrite history in real time, making you question your own memory, your own sanity. This is not accidental. It's a deliberate strategy designed to keep you in the dark. Another hallmark of secrecy-driven evil is gaslighting. This is when someone manipulates you into questioning your perception of reality. They deny things they said, downplay their harmful actions, or shift blame onto you. Over time, you start to feel like the problem, like maybe you misunderstood, you overreacted, or you made a mistake. But the truth is, their deception is intentional. Their goal is to keep you confused and, more importantly, dependent on them for the truth. Evil also isolates. It knows that when people compare notes, share experiences, and speak the truth openly, its power crumbles. That's why truly harmful individuals work hard to drive wedges between friends, families, and colleagues. They spread rumors, plant seeds of doubt, and create division. They tell one person one version of a story and another person a completely different version, ensuring that no one ever gets the full picture. This way, they remain in control, pulling the strings from behind the scenes. Secrecy is also what allows evil to continue unchecked. Many times, people sense that something is wrong, but they hesitate to speak up. They fear retaliation, being called dramatic, or simply not being believed. And this is exactly what an evil person counts on: silence. As long as people are too afraid, too uncertain, or too isolated to expose them, they can continue their destructive behavior without consequence. So how do you protect yourself from this? The answer is simple but powerful. Bring everything into the light. Trust your instincts when something feels off. Ask questions, verify facts, and most importantly, talk to others. Evil loses its grip when truth is spoken out loud. Transparency is the antidote to manipulation. If someone in your life is constantly shrouded in secrecy, evading accountability, or making you question your own reality, it may be time to take a step back, because the moment you expose the truth, you strip them of their greatest weapon: control through deception. Empathy is the foundation of human connection. It's what allows us to understand each other, to feel compassion for others' pain, and to build meaningful relationships. Without empathy, there is no genuine kindness, no true remorse, and no real love, only self-interest. And this is where truly harmful people stand apart. A lack of empathy isn't just a personality flaw, it's a warning sign. When you're dealing with someone who lacks empathy, you may notice that they seem indifferent to the suffering of others. They might witness someone in pain, physically, emotionally, or mentally, and respond with apathy, detachment, or even amusement. They don't comfort, they don't acknowledge, and they don't care. If anything, they may dismiss emotions as weakness or tell people to get over it rather than offering support. But what makes this trait even more dangerous is that at first these individuals often pretend to have empathy. They may mimic concern, offer hollow apologies, or say the right things when others are watching. But pay attention to their actions rather than their words. Do they follow through on their promises? Do they show kindness only when it benefits them? Do they apologize but then repeat the same behavior without remorse? People who lack empathy often master the art of deception, making you believe they care, when in reality, they don't. Another key trait of someone without empathy is their inability to take responsibility for their actions. When they hurt someone, they don't feel guilt or remorse. Instead, they shift blame, minimize the damage, or make themselves the victim. If you try to hold them accountable, they might say things like, "You're too sensitive, I was just joking," or "You're making a big deal out of nothing." These statements aren't just dismissive, they are calculated ways to avoid responsibility and make you question your own feelings. This lack of emotional depth also shows up in how they handle relationships. In healthy relationships, whether friendships, family bonds, or romantic partnerships, both people care about each other's well-being. They don't intentionally cause harm, and if they do, they feel genuine regret. But someone who lacks empathy doesn't operate this way. They see relationships as transactions, something to benefit them rather than a space for mutual care and understanding. They may use people for personal gain, whether for attention, money, status, or control, and discard them when they are no longer useful. Perhaps one of the most chilling aspects of a person without empathy is their reaction to another person's suffering. While a normal, compassionate person feels discomfort or sadness when they see someone in pain, a person lacking empathy may feel nothing, or worse, they may enjoy it. Some people with deeply malicious tendencies actually take pleasure in watching others struggle, as it makes them feel powerful and in control. They may provoke others just to watch them react, or manipulate situations to create conflict and drama, all while remaining emotionally detached. So how do you protect yourself from someone like this? The key is to stop expecting empathy from a person who is incapable of it. Many people make the mistake of thinking, if I just explain how much they've hurt me, they'll finally understand. But the truth is, they won't. If someone has repeatedly shown you that they do not care about your pain, stop trying to convince them to. Instead, focus on protecting your peace. Set firm boundaries, limit your emotional exposure, and recognize that their lack of empathy is their problem, not yours. Vulnerability is the core of human connection. It is the willingness to be seen, to open up about our fears, struggles, and hopes in the presence of someone we trust. In healthy relationships, vulnerability strengthens bonds. It fosters intimacy, trust, and mutual support. But in the hands of an evil person, vulnerability is not something to be honored or protected. It is something to be exploited. One of the most dangerous traits of truly malicious individuals is their ability to identify and use vulnerability as a weapon. Unlike a genuinely supportive person who responds to vulnerability with empathy and care, an evil person sees it as an opportunity for control. They listen closely to your deepest fears, your past traumas, and your insecurities, not to comfort you, but to find ways to manipulate you later. At first, they may appear deeply interested in your emotions. They might ask you about painful experiences, past heartbreaks, or childhood wounds with an air of concern. But their intention is not to understand or support you. It is to gather information. They store these details like ammunition, waiting for the perfect moment to use them against you. And when they do, it's never accidental, it's strategic. How they exploit your vulnerabilities, they make you feel unsafe in your own story. A manipulative person will subtly turn your own experiences against you. For example, if you've opened up about past betrayals, they may accuse you of being paranoid or untrusting when you express valid concerns. If you've shared struggles with self-worth, they might reinforce your doubts, making you believe no one else would tolerate or love you like they do. Over time, this erodes your confidence, making you easier to control. They use your past to justify their behavior. Have you ever confided in someone about a toxic relationship only for them to later behave in the exact same way, but this time convince you that it's different? Evil people are masters at twisting your past against you. If you've told them about a previous emotionally abusive partner, they may claim, "At least I'm not as bad as your ex." If you've shared family struggles, they might say, "You're overreacting because of your childhood issues." Rather than owning their harmful behavior, they manipulate you into questioning whether the real problem is you. Use your secrets as leverage. When you share something deeply personal, you're entrusting that person with something sacred. But in the hands of a manipulative individual, that trust becomes a trap. They may later bring up your secrets in arguments, weaponizing them to shame or control you. In some cases, they may even threaten to expose your vulnerabilities to others, spreading private details, twisting your words, or using them to tarnish your reputation if you ever try to hold them accountable. They flip the script when it's their turn to be vulnerable. A key trait of these individuals is that while they encourage you to be open, they rarely extend the same honesty in return. They may share selective, surface-level struggles to make you feel like there's mutual trust, but they avoid revealing anything that would make them genuinely vulnerable. If you ever call them out on their behavior, they might suddenly turn the conversation around, acting as if they are the real victim. They use fake vulnerability to gain sympathy and escape accountability. They exploit your compassion, evil people. Know that good-hearted individuals have a deep desire to help and support others. They use this against you by playing on your emotions, making you feel guilty for setting boundaries or standing up for yourself. If you call them out for hurting you, they might say things like, "I guess I'm just a horrible person then," forcing you to comfort them instead. They manipulate your empathy, knowing you're more likely to give them another chance, even when they don't deserve one. How to protect yourself, recognizing when someone is weaponizing your vulnerability is crucial. Here's how to safeguard yourself. Be selective with who you trust. Not everyone deserves access to your heart. Trust should be earned over time through consistent kindness, honesty, and respect. If someone rushes emotional intimacy, pressuring you to share your deepest secrets too soon, take a step back. Real trust isn't forced, it's built gradually. Pay attention to how they treat your vulnerability. A safe person will respect and protect your openness, never using it to shame or control you. But if someone repeatedly brings up your past in a way that makes you feel small, weak, or guilty, take it as a warning sign. A healthy relationship should make you feel stronger, not more fragile. Set boundaries and enforce them. If you notice someone using your emotions or past against you, establish firm boundaries. Let them know that certain topics are off limits and that you will not engage in conversations meant to manipulate or degrade you. If they refuse to respect your boundaries, distance yourself. Trust actions over words. Anyone can say the right things, but true character is revealed through behavior. If someone constantly claims to care but uses your vulnerability to harm you, believe their actions, not their empty apologies or excuses. Remove yourself from the cycle. The hardest but most important step is recognizing when someone will never change. If someone continuously exploits your openness despite knowing how much it hurts you, they are not a safe person. Walking away from them is not weakness, it's strength. One of the most deceptive traits of an evil person is their ability to create chaos while convincing others that they are the only ones who can fix it. They don't just crave control, they thrive in disorder. They stir up conflict, confusion, and emotional instability, not randomly, but deliberately. The more uncertain and off balance you are, the easier you are to manipulate. Many people assume that control and chaos are opposites. After all, control is about order and chaos is about disorder, right? Not in the world of a manipulative person. For them, control and chaos are two sides of the same coin. They manufacture instability so they can position themselves as the only source of stability. They create problems so they can pretend to be the solution. And in doing so, they keep you trapped in an endless cycle of dependence. How they create chaos to maintain control. One dot. They keep you in a state of uncertainty. Evil people are masters of unpredictability. One day they are kind, supportive, and affectionate. The next they are cold, distant, or outright cruel. You never know what version of them you're going to get, and that uncertainty keeps you emotionally trapped. This is not accidental, it is intentional. By keeping you off balance, they make you desperate for their approval and willing to do whatever it takes to keep the peace. You might find yourself constantly questioning, did I do something wrong? How can I make them happy? Why do they treat me differently today than they did yesterday? And that's exactly what they want. Your attention focused on them, your energy spent trying to predict their moods, and your confidence slowly eroding in the process. 2, they stir up drama, then play the hero evil. People often instigate fights, spread rumors, or pit people against each other, only to swoop in later and pretend to be the voice of reason. They manipulate situations so that conflict erupts, then they step in, acting as if they are the only ones who can restore order. For example, they might gossip about one person to another, creating tension between them. Then, when those two people inevitably clash, they act innocent, pretending they had nothing to do with it. Even worse, they might tell both parties, I don't know why they're acting like this. I'm just trying to keep the peace. Meanwhile, they were the one who caused the conflict in the first place. This tactic serves two purposes. It makes them look like the rational, level-headed one, while everyone else appears irrational or emotional. It isolates their victims, ensuring that no one can unite against them because everyone is too busy dealing with the chaos they created. 3D, they make you dependent on their approval by keeping your emotions in constant turmoil. They make sure that they are the only person who can soothe you. It's a classic cycle. They create stress, they blame you for the stress, they withhold affection or support. Then, once you're emotionally exhausted, they offer a tiny bit of kindness, just enough to make you stay. This creates an addiction to their approval. The highs of their affection feel so good because the lows are so painful. You begin to crave their kindness, their validation, their reassurance, even though they are the ones causing your distress in the first place. Because they gaslight you into thinking the chaos is your fault. One of the most damaging things an evil person does is convince you that you are the one causing the instability. They'll say things like, you're too sensitive. You're always overreacting. Why can't you just relax? Even when they are the ones stirring up problems, they will twist the situation so that it looks like you're the problem. Over time, you start to believe them. You begin doubting your own perceptions, questioning whether you're the one who's being irrational, and losing confidence in your ability to trust your own judgment. This is psychological warfare, and its purpose is to keep you under their control. 5. They isolate you so they can be the only voice you hear. Chaos doesn't just happen inside your head, it extends to your relationships too. Evil people know that the more isolated you are, the easier you are to manipulate. So they find ways to drive wedges between you and the people who might see through their games. They might convince you that your friends don't really care about you, tell you that your family is against you, create drama in your social circle so that people distance themselves from you. Once they've successfully cut you off from outside support, they become your only source of reality. If they say you're the problem, you believe it. because there's no one else around to tell you otherwise how to break free from their cycle of chaos and control. One, recognize the patterns. The first step in protecting yourself is seeing the manipulation for what it is. If someone's behavior is constantly making you feel anxious, confused, or on edge, step back and ask yourself, is this person creating chaos to maintain control? The moment you recognize the pattern, their power over you starts to weaken. Two, stop playing their game. Evil people want you to react emotionally because it gives them more opportunities to manipulate you. The best way to disarm them is to refuse to engage in their manufactured drama. Stay calm. Don't defend yourself against false accusations. And don't get drawn into pointless arguments. If they can't control your reaction, they lose control over you. Three, set firm boundaries and stick to them. Boundaries are your strongest defense. If they constantly push your limits, gaslight you, or create chaos, you have every right to say, I will not engage in this conversation. I do not allow toxic behavior in my life. If you continue to treat me this way, I will walk away. Then follow through. Boundaries are only effective if you enforce them. Four, seek support from people you trust. One of the most powerful ways to break free from an evil person's grip is to reconnect with people who truly care about you. Talk to a trusted friend, family member, or therapist. Let them help you see the situation for what it is. Manipulators thrive in isolation. Don't let them keep you there. 5. Walk away and don't look back. The hardest but most important step is removing yourself from their toxic cycle entirely. People who use chaos to control others do not change. They don't wake up one day and suddenly develop empathy. If someone continuously creates instability in your life, the best thing you can do is walk away and never look back.